Welcome back to the Michael and Ellis show, week 5. We have a special guest. It's Abby.
Hello, thank you for having me. So excited to be
Yes.
here.
All right, before we get into anything, I'll just give the quick rundown of the episode. This was the new twist, the Survivor Social Hour. Brand new, never done before,
Bad
but it's not a
name.
swap. It is not a swap. The the cast was
Jeffrey said.
divided into two teams. They're not tribes, it's two teams, and they were
Mhm.
given not buffs but these weird just blank bandanas that they had to compete against in this reward challenge, and the winners get to go to the Survivor Social Hour where they get some hot dogs, some veggie, some weirdly
I
rubbery
know Survivor's being
normal looking
veggie
hot dogs.
inclusive.
No
Yeah,
condiments.
no
No.
condiments, but get some cornhole, get a whole hour of social cross tribal bonds starting to form. Um, and yeah, I don't know. We'll talk more about that later. We get to the immunity challenge. Yellow it gets super far behind, almost comes back, very close, but they end up losing and they go to tribal, where Annika is ultimately voted out. I thought this was the episode of the cracks being formed, and we saw the next time on that next week will be the merge. So I think the real purpose of this episode was to kind of lay the foundation of the rest of the season, show where some of the conflicts on each tribe is going to be shown. We have Rome completely out on Teeny, and Yellow has the showmance rumors and how that's going on, and then back with Blue, we have Sue getting mad at Tiana, exposing Gabe. But we can get more into more details. Is there anything you guys would want to add just to start off?
No, I'm interested to talk about this social hour, which I still feel like there gotta be a better name.
Yeah,
It sounds like what you give like people in like a retirement home to like do at like 4 p.m. before like dinner. Like,
it's like
it's
the
time for
ice cream
social
social you
hour.
have.
Like it sounds bad. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I am curious of what you guys thought about this thing where it was like not it wasn't like a tribe swap, but instead like this kind of like small advantage to like talk to other people, I guess. And also I guess work with other people no matter what.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, right away I was already confused because we had the blue and yellow teams, and then they were using blue and yellow colors, so that was already a little bit
Yeah.
confusing.
Why didn't they just choose like two separate colors?
I don't know.
Ugh, they should.
Um, I I thought it was interesting. I thought it was useful to get like a leg up just before the merge, but then I was also like, why do it right before the merge, you know? So I was like,
Hmm.
I was a little indifferent about it.
I like the twist. I think any time you're getting like uh you're getting the opportunity for cross tribal like alliances or like relationships to form, that can make things a lot very interesting, especially with like you could see people on one, like if they go back to their camp and like someone is like, I don't like the way they were like interacting with those like they seem like they're
Yeah.
getting too close to those people. Like it brings up so many more opportunities for like conflict to like slowly just build within like a tribe. And ultimately it's like I feel like the cast should be able to interact with each other. Like there was one season they had both tribes live on the same beach, like even though they were still separate. And like I don't know, I wish they would do more stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm very much pro anything that will like help stop the like, oh, we need to be like yellow strong or like blue strong in the merge. I'm so pro anything that stops that from happening because oh my god, it's so boring. It's just like so boring if all the tribes go into merge and they're like, we're just gonna stick together. Like, ew, boo, boo. tomato, tomato, boring. So I was very happy that they got to somewhat talk, and it even caused conflict in blue. Because like Tiana was
Yeah.
going off. She was like, guys, Gabe, don't trust him, hate him. He's like doing weird shit over there. He's like crawling around for idols. He's like a little cockroach. Get him out of here.
She
Like,
was being so messy.
and I was so here for it. And Mama Sue was like,
Her
ugh.
reactions.
When she was like rolling her eyes, I was like in love. I was like, oh my god, she's like on top
Mhm.
of it. I do find it always interesting that at least in like the 40s, the older players are always the ones that are more like loyal, and they always have like this like more like sense of like loyalty and
Mhm.
how more important that is to like their game. Like with Julie, and I guess I'm just like Heather, Julie, and like Sue. I feel like all have this like thing of like
To be
loyalty.
fair, devil's advocate, like Julie's alliance with Austin D and Drew, they were all very high on like we're about loyalty, and it like was
Mhm.
probably just I think one of the reasons why I was so focused on is because all four of them did make end up making it really far, because they probably were like, you know, claiming they're all about loyalty, but at the same time like potentially considering the options of blindsiding their, alliance like every single time. So it
Yeah.
just didn't happen to go that way. I did kind of
I
like
did
the like. Oh, sorry.
no. It was different. It was a different part of the social hour. So if you were gonna keep talking about Tiana, you go.
I was just actually no. I was gonna just mention the cornholes. I thought that was a fun little like gave them something to do.
In their
Yeah,
social
that was
hour.
silly. I liked getting to see Caroline and Rachel interact and them talking because we haven't seen much of Caroline and not too much of Rachel, I guess.
Hmm.
But I can see them being potentially a strong allies come the merge next episode, and so I'm interested to see where that goes.
Oh yeah, I think like especially it was interesting to see them all talking because you have Caroline talking to I think the two best possible people she could be talking to from the other tribes because it's the two people who well like Rachel didn't know it at the time, but who are on the bottom basically. Like
Yeah,
And
Teeny and Rachel like going into the merge, they're both on the bottom of their tribes basically. Well, Teeny not so much anymore, but still it's like I mean, I feel like no one really is on the top of red. Like it's such a shit show that it's just
a
like
constant
everyone's at the
battle.
bottom somehow. Like
No, I definitely agree, and it's also important to keep in mind that like Caroline and Teeny both have the amulet idols, which
mhm.
will probably be a big part of this next week when everyone's now on the same beach. What?
Yeah, and especially the
Yeah.
fact that everyone knows about the amulet idols too, which is like crazy. Like
true.
I was like when the fact that they all went back and they were all like, okay, so here's like literally what I got. I'm like not even gonna lie. I mean, I guess it's smart because it's like unless you establish beforehand, hey, we need to keep this between us, like, or else like we will be targeted. Like, I guess you have to tell the truth, or else if you don't and other people do, like you're gonna get fucked over.
I was
But
surprised that there was a point where somebody told Soul about the idol and he hadn't heard it yet, so Teeny didn't tell him.
mhm.
But there was at some point when Rome was like Teeny got back and Rome was like, she's not giving us anything about what happened in the social hour. Like these are red flags. And then he like stomped off into the ocean, and then like they both went to Teeny. They're like, so Rome's going insane, and and like they even Soul started talking about the amulet idol to Teeny. So it seems like that won't be that big of an issue. But yeah, it is weird when those like advantages are kind of like completely common knowledge.
Yeah.
I liked seeing that shift of them all kind of slowly turning on Rome, and I'm excited to see his downfall.
No, literally, like Red is so interesting because it's like they shift between targeting, like it's like this shift between like either Rome and someone else, like constantly. They're like, okay, we're gonna get Rome out. Actually, we're getting someone else out, and it's just like so interesting. It's so quick.
Hmm. All right. Well, let's transition to the fantasy scores. Um, Not a ton of movement. Michael is still far. He's widening his lead that he has in first. Abby, you're in second, but you
Crazy.
did
Whoop, whoop.
just lose Annika, which is
I
a
know.
little bit tough.
Big sad.
And yeah, no, Annika's reaction was like,
Priceless.
yeah, that was.
It
I
was
feel
very
like
devastating.
It was
that made the episode, like, and the only other changes, Christina is she overtook Brielle, and I am dropping all the way down to the bottom. Molly and Gianna both overtook me. The only people I'm ahead of are the two people that picked the first and second boot, so it's not looking good for me.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Sean King, believe in you.
Hang in
Ugh.
there.
Genevieve
It's
got
hard
the
when you're with number 1 and 2.
I know. Ugh, Abby, we're too good. We're just Survivor
Oh my
experts,
God.
really.
True.
We just know the
Yeah.
game is now.
I guess other important things to mention, Genevieve got the episode title, and she's really had a resurgence in like these last 2 episodes. She's kind of coming into
She's
her
going
own.
off.
I feel like
Mhm.
she's gonna be a big character for the rest of the season. Slow start, but now she's here.
She
And
revved up some steam, and now she's fully on
Full
track.
steam ahead.
yeah,
Mhm.
the
That's my
Fishy
girl.
Award. The Fishy Award went to Sam. And another Michael doesn't
Interesting.
seem happy about that.
I
mean,
don't.
I just feel like Sam gets a lot of credit that he doesn't deserve, personally.
Yeah.
But it's neither here nor there.
He
I
didn't
think they
do
were
much.
yeah, I think they were debating between Sam or Sierra, but I think they ultimately thought that it
They
probably
hate
would have
women,
been a
so they went with Sam.
well, they were thinking it probably would have been a better move for Sierra to vote out Andy. But maybe we can discuss that later on, maybe more towards the end of the episode when we get to tribal.
Speaking of Andy,
Well,
beforehand.
I just one last thing to mention about the ranking. So Sam did get the fishy, and we actually did get a shout out on the Know It Alls podcast.
Let's see. All right, this is Ellis. As the fishy count was week 1 was Teeny. 2 was
I can't be held responsible for Marianne's choices.
Okay, week 3 was Andy.
Yeah,
Andy got a fishy.
that was my
yes, yes, and then 4 was Genevieve and Rome. The official
Great
fishy
choice.
count for Survivor 47.
Yeah. I can't. Does Marianne? Did she? I didn't deputize
No, I don't
her.
think that Marianne's fishy is not canon. So you gave the fishy to Sue.
That has
in
to
week
be her
2.
catch of the day.
Yes. Yes.
Whoop, whoop.
Which is pretty exciting. I sent the fishy counter, and I also got confirmation that Marianne's fishy. It's not a fishy. It's the Oketch of the day. That's her last name for people that don't know.
Oh wow, that's handy.
Yeah, he even made that right up on the spot. So I moved the fishy award because originally on episode 2 there was a fishy for Sue and Sam, but Sam doesn't have that fishy anymore, and now he has this fishy from this week. So not that much changed in the scoring in that sense. Sean is only 2 points behind Nina. He's so close, but not quite there yet. So yeah, that's the scoring update. And yeah, Michael, what would you have to say about Andy?
I feel like it would be a crime to not mention Andy's performance in this challenge.
Oh my God.
Because the wrong side of the knife, the gyrating to get it down,
It was so
and
bad.
The noises he was making too, like
it was like so like I hate to compare Andy to Queen of Everything Carolyn from 44, but it was really reminiscent of like, I don't know if you guys remember the first challenge in 44. Like Carolyn like had to like put like a thing through like she had to like flip this like hoop through like a pole or something, and
that
she
was
was
like
going,
in the premiere.
and it was like so reminiscent of like that, where it's just like, what the fuck is happening? Like this is like, so
I don't know what's going on.
It was just like it was so good. And then his confessional after, where he's like, after my extreme research, I have to deduce that I'm not good at challenges. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are so
No,
great.
really?
And he has his
Yes.
glasses on, and he's like, I have come to the conclusion.
Actually.
Like, we've known this for a while. And I'm shocked he's still sticking around, even though he's so bad at them.
I know. And I think he's just gonna get slowly dragged through the mud until someone finally kicks him out.
I'm
Yeah.
curious at how the yellow team would have performed differently if Annika had gone in, because her and Rachel are like the puzzle masters. They're so good at all the puzzles. And they were only like seconds, milliseconds even behind Lavo. So I'm curious if maybe like, I don't know, Andy sat out and Monica went in and how their performance would have changed.
I
No,
genuinely think that the yellow tribe would have gotten first if they sat Andy out and Annika was in.
that was a very like photo finish, like soul tripping over the platform. I mean, you know, the editors are like, oh,
was
we gotta make
intense.
this look as like close as possible. Like Soul's falling down. Like, oh, the yellow tribe, like they're getting their last piece. Like, who's gonna get to the mat first? And it's like Red was probably like way. There was probably a much bigger difference like in real time, but like
I don't
I
think
was on
so.
the edge of my seat. I was
I
like,
mean,
who's
they
it gonna
showed,
be?
They showed like a wide shot, and both of them were like running back, like kind of like looking
Yeah.
back at the thing, getting to
But,
the
like,
mat. So it did
also-
seem very.
ultimately that last piece Sam put on the puzzle was flipped the wrong way, so it wasn't gonna matter regardless. But it
So
is
flop Sam.
safe to say that rope cutting definitely was like the one difference that like made
And
it all.
it's just like that, and then like last episode there was like, or maybe the episode before, but it was like the balance beam where he
balance
was just like
beam.
scooting along. It's just like, oh my
I mean,
gosh, like are
the
you like
literal-
an 80-year-old man could do like better than you? Like
the
what is
literal
happening?
first episode he's passing out. Oh,
He's
He's like
having a
crying
moment.
and clapped when he opened a coconut. It's just like a shit show in Andy
I-
over with Andy right now.
I listened to Annika's exit interview, and she said that Andy accidentally broke one of the eggs that like they laid.
I'm not shocked.
like Sierra, I think, mentioned at the. This is actually another thing. The egg negotiation. Sierra mentioned that like one of them, like when they were laid, they cracked immediately. I think she was just trying not to like expose Andy in front of everyone, but
Because he'd cry and cause like a meltdown.
yeah.
Probably.
What did you guys think of the negotiation?
I'm surprised Jeff agreed. That's so like not
Right?
up his alley and something he would do. And when they started talking about it, I almost started like cringing because I was like, oh my god, he's gonna shut it down immediately. Like it's not gonna happen.
He's gonna
And then they
rip
got like a
into them.
ton of eggs.
Yeah.
I thought he would have been like, oh, you're not okay with 15? Okay, so 10. And then like
Or like 6. Like jumping to
Yeah.
18 was crazy. Me in the middle, I was
Yeah,
like, where's
no,
he going with this one?
like I don't know, maybe Jeff purposely sabotaged them in the challenge so they wouldn't even be able to use it. He's like, I'm gonna give you eggs, but you're not even gonna be able to use them.
That
He
was
did.
sad
Yeah.
but funny.
Yeah. He and when he was taking their flint too and like handing them the eggs, he's like, here's your eggs that you won't be able to cook, but
He's so sassy.
Oh, Jeffrey.
Yeah, no, so I think this episode did a good job of like before the immunity, kind of like it almost made it seem like they set up each tribe and showed their conflicts as like anyone could go. Which like could be just more like build up for the merge next week, but Yellow did lose. And shout out to me and Michael. Last week, Michael predicted Andy going home, and I was like, I guess Annika. I mean, not only did one of us get the correct prediction, but the other one was literally like the decoy. So like, me and Michael were watching this like, well, one of us is gonna be right. Like,
and
I didn't want I didn't want it to be Annika, but I like knew it was gonna be her, and I was like, "Ugh, this sucks. They should send Andy home." And I was kind of butthurt that Sierra didn't vote with the girls with Team Breadwinner. I was like,
yeah.
what the heck?
This
Yeah.
actually like brings me to one of my questions that I have.
Whoa.
So I'm like curious. This Sam and Sierra dynamic is very interesting.
Mhm.
But I want to ask you guys, like, because I don't know, but like, do you guys think in the merge Sam and Sierra are going to stick together? And if so, like, do you think that they are going to be equal partners, or do you think like Sam has more power than Sierra in like their partnership?
I think they might stick together, but I feel like it'll end with I want to say it'll end with Sierra either like breaking ties or like betraying Sam in some way. I would at least like to see that.
That would be fun.
I
I
think
would
that
love
would be interesting and iconic of her, but
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
not super keen on Sam, so.
I definitely see them both being like long-term care. Like I think they'll both make it far. I think if anyone's gonna go home soon, like early merge, it's gonna be Andy. Like
Yeah.
there's like the idol amulet theory that was on Twitter of him being the first one to go out of those three. And there's Michael, you mentioned earlier, like Survivor's been doing this mergatory thing the past few seasons, and a lot of the other podcasts are bringing up good points. Every time we've seen, like, well, I guess we don't know if they're gonna do the earn the merge twist, where like half of the tribe will be immune and half of the tribe like hasn't earned their buff yet. Um, so if that does happen, a lot of times the team that like does win, they go off to their reward and they have like this whole like negotiation of like, all right, Red, who do you have to like offer up as like a pawn basically in like Big Brother terms of like who's your offer, and like they do like this like diplomatic negotiation, and it usually just ends up like a lot of people are thinking Tiana is just gonna be the one offered up because she exposed Gabe at the social hour. And I feel like yellow, it would probably be Andy or Rachel, and then red, I mean it depends on who's there. It would probably either be Teeny or Rome. Um,
Yeah, no, because I think like because the jury, it's like I don't think there's gonna be like I don't think they're gonna start the jury at final 13.
mhm.
Like I think it's gonna start at like final 11. So I'm like, there's two people that aren't making it, and I mean, unless they just like start merge, they all make merge, and then they're like, okay, we're starting jury at final 11, and there's like two merge rounds where it's like, but I feel like it's not gonna be like that. I feel like there's gonna be some kind of twist or something where it's like some like fucked shit where it's like we're gonna separate you guys and now some of you get to eat and the rest of you can like starve to death now and then like vote each other out or something.
Yeah.
I think something like that will happen between Sam and Sierra, to go back to your question, Michael. I think their dynamic in general, I've never really like, even when the season first started and they were like, oh my god, they're like, oh, showmans. They like barely showed them on the screen from what I can recall. And now it seems like every time they show them talking, it's a lot of bickering and arguing. So I'm like, do they even
Yeah.
want to work together? Or is it just like, well, we started off working together, and now we're just kind of stuck with each other?
They're just an
They
So
are a
old
married
married
couple.
couple.
I guess so. So, but I feel like the cracks are going to continue to form and break come
Yeah.
merge.
This
I
is
do definitely
actually. Are you,
oh sorry.
I have
I
a
just think that
question.
there's
So, yeah.
a very big chance that they're editing this in a way where it's like one of them is going to flip on the other, or like
Oh,
because they're
absolutely.
showing a lot of
Yeah.
cracks between them. Like I'm like, there's no way that they, and it's like they're showing it a lot more like now. So I'm like, I feel like one of them is going home soon. Like with merge coming up, like Sam's gonna be seen as this huge threat. Like I feel like his days might be numbered, but that's neither here nor
Mhm.
there.
Well, okay. Yes. This is one thing that I think is it. I mean, Survivor has been kind of sticking to a structure for the last couple of seasons. So a lot of these players could have reasonably assumed that the merge was coming up like next tribal or pre mergatory, whatever you want to call it. So I guess one question that I would have is, with that in mind, voting out Annika and completely blindsiding Rachel is a bit of like, I don't know if it's the best move. If you're gonna decide, like, if you're trying to choose on which direction you want to go in, you probably want to choose the one that like keeps the most unity. And like, maybe Sam doesn't want to be in this like women's alliance, but like, if I'm Sam, that's still like a great group that you can kind of like, it can be very useful to you. And Annika's exit interview, it sounded like uh her and Sam actually had a pretty good relationship. I think the problem was in Sam's mind, he knew he was always going to be in the bottom of that alliance. So like, maybe if there was something Annika could have kind of proactively had done to be like, well, if we vote out Andy and then we go to tribal again, like, what do you think? Like, I don't think Sam would have been expecting to get a question like that from Annika. You know, maybe it could have made him feel a little bit safer that he wasn't completely at the bottom. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. I think like it's tough because I'm like, in Sam's best interest, if we're talking through like Sam's perspective, if you go off like the like, it really depends like if you want to play like the prediction game or not, because it's like if he like was like, okay, usually like there's something happens when it's like there's final 13, like, you know, buffs are dropped, and then if he was thinking that way, then he would have been like, he should have been like, Andy, you're going home, like, because now I'm like, Rachel is not trusting any of these people.
Jumping shit.
Yeah. If I was Rachel, I'd be like, bye, bitches.
She's
how
going
is
to
everyone else
Caroline
doing?
and Teeny and
Literally.
being like, let's do this.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I think Rachel's gonna thrive more
oh yeah.
post all of this. I also think Andy's just so unpredictable as like a player in challenges, as like a teammate, as an alliance. Like, I can never anticipate what he's gonna be doing. So I feel like if I were Sam, I wouldn't want him as like my like number one or whatever, because I feel like I just can't figure out what he's gonna do next. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's probably because Sam is a little bit intimidated by the women, and Andy is definitely not the most intimidating ally to have.
Yeah, that's true.
So this actually brings me to a question that I have. What do you guys, so Abby, you were kind of like Rachel, because my question was, what do you guys think Rachel's gonna do next? So you think she's gonna work with like Caroline and go in like that direction? Like, I am curious to see, because Caroline is showing to be very like, I want to be blue strong, which is like, boo, boring, whatever. But there's always like one person who does it. So I'm like interested to see if like what's gonna happen. But do you think so? You don't? Do you guys think Rachel's gonna stick with yellow, or be like, nah, fuck these bitches, I'm moving somewhere else?
I think, well, I don't know if this is actually what's gonna happen, but I think what I would like for Rachel to happen is that, like, I think she's gonna ditch blue, not blue, sorry, yellow for the most part, and go with like Caroline or like even like other people. I think she'll form like alliances. And I think Sierra might want to like get in on it and be like, sorry for voting out Annika, but like, I'm sorry. I want to join and leave Sam.
You mean it?
I think
Yeah.
Rachel will thrive, hopefully. I'm rooting for Rachel. I like her a lot, so.
I think she could have a bit of a Genevieve like come out of nowhere arc a bit. I don't think she will. I think she will definitely be making a lot of like new alliances. I don't think she'll be completely jumping ship. I think if she does completely jump ship, then she could be a really big, have a big potential of going home next episode. You know, it's hard to kind of make that such a big like move in like your social standing like that without just being like targeted immediately.
But because of the social hour, she does have a rapport already with some
Is
people.
the social hour? That's
The
true.
social hour. So,
Yeah. Abby, I'm curious to hear your thoughts as someone who had their player go home this week. Annika did seem. It felt like the show did a lot of foreshadowing with, like, me and Michael kept bringing it up of like, she lost her vote. She's like, I don't think I'll be fine, right? I don't think that'll matter, right? And then like last week, Rachel was like, I feel like I'm in a really good position. So there's like a lot of like weird, just like vibes around that. And then this episode, I mean, me and Michael rewatched it, and literally during the challenge, when Jeff is like, and then the tribe to lose goes to tribal, and the fifth person will be voted out, and they literally like they showed Annika like in like a single frame as he was saying like the fifth person to be voted out. So it seems kind of like a predictable episode. Like, did you, out of the season so far, was this one of your least favorite episodes, or?
No, I still liked it. I mean, I did think it was predictable only when Annika, like, because I had forgotten that she lost her vote. And so when she was like, oh, I don't have my vote, that's when I was like, damn, like, she's 100% going home.
It's over.
It's over. And I'm like, oh, but maybe they'll send Andy. And then I was like, no, she's definitely going. I definitely think last tribal was just like more like intense of like who's it gonna be, and so I enjoyed that more because I like the like, oh my god, I have no clue, but I didn't mind it. I mean, I watched the episode a second time and I was like picking up more on the foreshadowing this time, but I don't really notice it the first time, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I do think they did a good job with that last second Sam, like, oh, do I play my idol or not? Because that added another little ripple of like, oh, maybe something could happen. Yeah.
Yes. And when we phrase it like this, I'm like, maybe Sierra didn't really have like a choice, to be honest. Like, Annika doesn't have her vote. At best, it would tie. And then
Yeah.
I guess
And
at
Sam
the
could play
revote,
his idol.
it would be
Yeah.
like 2-1. But like there's just so many different like ways this could like go. So
Sam
it is
seems
kind of
pretty. Or, yeah, sorry.
Oh, I just think it could have been more. It would have been less predictable if Annika didn't have her vote. I mean, like, I feel like that makes sense, but just in terms of like the episode.
I mean, I think this is also like a testament of how it's like this was a somewhat predictable episode, but it was still, the social hour was fun. There's new relationships being formed, and then Annika's reaction was just so like I was
oh,
like,
it
just,
was so good.
I'd read the same. Like,
yeah. Like
I'm surprised more
loved it.
players don't.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. She's like, what the fuck? Who did this? Everyone. Like, she was like, and then,
Wouldn't
and then
even
when
say
she's
bye.
leaving, when she's leaving and she turns back and like Andy and like Sam wave and she's just like, no. And then like
Nah.
leaves. Oh, gold. Actual gold.
And
so
I think
iconic.
they did a really good job of like in the earlier episodes. Like there's one point where Annika was like, I feel like she like pumped her chest, and like they were showing these things where like Annika like really like built close relationships to these people. Yeah, so like when she was blindsided, it was like distraught, like just ruined, and like not like I think it really hit me once like she left and started crying. It was like she's like just holding back those tears until like she like was finally alone, and like the final like confessional she gave of like just that was rough for sure.
Pure
It was
raw
hard
emotion.
to watch.
Literally.
I felt so bad because I was like, I would probably react the same way, and like that sucks.
Yeah.
But a blindside's always crazy in Survivor, so.
I mean, I feel like at this point every vote's just a blind side, to be honest.
I guess, yeah. It makes for good TV. I like the reactions.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I guess that brings us to we're just under 35 minutes, which is a good we're making good time here. For the next time on, obviously, it's the merge. Rome was eating some weird like red thing. Like,
did he like kill someone and eat their liver? We don't.
It looked like the Sioux paint. Like It was really weird.
He's eating paint
Maybe it
now.
was like a reward challenge and you got like fresh fruit.
Yeah,
Who
maybe.
knows?
I guess we'll have to see it. But we also see Soul probably talking shit about Rome to Kyle.
Oh,
So
yes.
I was excited about that. I liked that pairing.
I
because
felt like
Kyle's
it
like,
could have been Gabe too.
I mean, Soul, like Kyle was like, "Oh my god, he did that," and like it cuts off at
Oh,
that. So
that's a good point.
I was like, it's probably gonna be about Rome because Soul's probably gonna be like, "Yeah, so Rome followed me around and like wouldn't leave me alone even when I was like at my breaking point at the bottom of the tribe, and it was like basically like emotional torture."
And then he threatened me with his steal a vote.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Rome has no power now, you guys. Just saying.
Yippee!
So excited.
Yeah, Rome's
I
finally
hope
out of the
all
detention.
of Lavo is just like Rome's crazy. Don't work with it.
Abby, how do you
Look-
feel about like the remainder of your team, Sue and Gabe?
I don't know. I don't love Gabe just based off of some little comments he's made here and there.
Very odd.
Not my favorite, but like I guess I like have to root for him. In terms of like Tiana throwing him under the bus, I think that was a little shitty of her to do and made it really messy. And I think it'll be interesting for her to have to pick up those pieces for the merge. So I think Gabe is in a good spot for now. And I think I go back and forth on Sue because I think some people could be like, oh, she's like use her age against her and get her out soon. But I'm hoping she sticks around. I'd like to see her make new alliances.
I mean, she
Like
has an
to see her.
idol.
She's
Maybe
got an
she'll-
idol.
Maybe she'll finally mend bridges with Kyle.
I know she's got an
Yeah.
idol, and no one knows about it. Too.
That is
She hasn't
true.
told
That's
anyone.
If I'm being honest, I completely forgot she had one until you just said it. So
So she's, she hasn't even told Gabe, Caroline, like.
Yeah.
So I have high hopes for Sue, but Sue is also one of my players. But Sue's also iconic. So
I'm
Do we
rooting for
want
her.
to? Do we want to try and make predictions for these?
Yeah,
There
what
might
do
be
you think's
two
gonna go
people
next?
going home. I'm not really sure. I mean, I feel like that's what they usually do with the mergatory.
Well, I say let's just have each get two guesses.
Two
just in
guesses
case.
to be wrong or right.
Because I mean, this is like I feel like that's fair because this is the biggest
Yeah.
like lot of people that like could go
Mhm.
home. Like there isn't
Yeah.
really like.
Ooh, gonna have to have a minute to think.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually
does
have to-
anyone? I
I'm
mean, yeah.
I'm thinking I don't know. I have 3 names written down. So I got like Andy, Rome, and Tiana.
Okay.
Just because I think Andy's gonna be it's like himself, and that's just gonna get him kicked out. And I don't think Rome's gonna make it very far if he doesn't go home next episode. I think he's not making it very far. And if he
interesting.
does, I'll be shocked.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say Rome and / or Tiana. Just because I don't know. After the whole social hour thing, I was kind of thrown off, and I feel like that didn't bode well for her. So
I think those are good guesses. Like those are definitely like I would say also the main 3 that I'm kind of thinking about too. But I'd say if I have to cut it down to like 2, I'd say it's gonna be either I think it's either gonna be Tiana or Andy is going to be my guess of like who's going home because I think like Lavo is like so like they're like all of their like everyone knows how splintered and like it is there and they're like the most least put together tribe so I feel like someone's gonna be like we have to get like a blue or like yellow out first and I feel like Tiana the way she's been edited like hasn't really had much of anything going on it seems like her game's really unstable same with like Andy so
Oh my god.
I'm gonna
This
guess
is
one of them.
embarrassing. Sorry, I flipped to my my spreadsheet to check the confessional count, and it made the cameras go blank for a second.
That is
Oh my
embarrassing.
That is
gosh.
embarrassing.
Oh my gosh.
Awkward.
I was checking the confessional count because I agree. I feel like I'm going all in. I think it's gonna be either Tiana or I don't know. I feel like it might actually. It could be Gabe.
Ooh.
that would be really. I don't know. Because I feel like the social hour, his name being thrown out there, might be bigger than people realize. But yeah.
So we all guessed Tiana though. So
We all
not
guessed
high
Tiana.
hopes for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry,
I think it's just 'cause
Adam.
she hasn't done anything really. I guess except get TK out. She did flip on that, but
Mhm.
since then she's been kind of
Yeah.
doing nothing. So
Oh,
I guess
well,
we'll see.
yeah. Any last thoughts to add?
Go Genevieve, that's my girl.
Rooting for Genevieve.
If she gets voted out, I'm simply lighting myself on fire.
Rooting for Genevieve, for Sue. I'm honestly really rooting for Rachel. I
am rooting for
love
Rachel.
her.
I
She's
think
so good at the puzzles.
yeah, the women this season are like top tier and the men are like so bottom tier. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like embarrassing.
I'm rooting for a Kyle, a Genevieve-esque Kyle like resurgence, and because he feels like he seems like the most wholesome man for sure.
Kyle's the only guy that I feel like Kyle and Soul, I think, are the two men that I feel like favorably towards, and all of the other ones I'm like whatever.
Kyle's also really good at the challenges, so I'm curious to see how he'll be in all these like individual challenges coming
true.
up. I think he'll shine.
Oh, I hope. I need those points. All right. Well,
climb up the ranks.
Yes. With that, I think that concludes our week 5, episode 5 episode. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed.
And thank you so much for being part of it, Abby. It was great to have you.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
You're such a joy of light.
Oh my god.